Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jiyoung-han, a volunteer here at the GIC. As you know, today's talk begins 1 hour earlier than usual, so thank you for coming earlier today. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know that Gwangju is the city of peace, human rights, and democracy. And especially today, May 18th is the very important date of Gwangju, the memorial date of Gwangju democratic uprising. To promote its peace, human rights, and democracy, Gwangju Prize for Human Rights is awarded every year. And this year, the special prize was awarded to Wahyu who is the chief editor of the Tempo, which is the weekly political magazine in Indonesia. And today, we are honored to have Wahyu with us here today. He will give us more details on his work. Let's welcome today's speaker with a big round of applause.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, how are you today? You find I'm really here to be. I'm impressed and to be honored here on behalf of my office from Tempo Media Group. So I would like to give you a small, little bit ideas what about Tempo in a short sentence, and then the rest by assistants, by executive editors. Ms. Hermina Clayton will describe everything about the Tempo on details, what we are and who we are and why we existed in Indonesia, the new democratic countries in the world. So I'm really surprised when we were invited and given a prize from the Gwangju Memorial Foundation, and I'm my name is Hermina, just arrived from the ceremony, with the ceremony in the cemetery just now, and it was an embarrassing one because we know that the bad situation, the Prime Minister of Korea, the ladies, unhappy with that because all the Gwangju people trying to sing a special song of the Gwangju revolution, and then the Prime Minister suddenly decided to go back earlier than not the full time at that time. Yeah. So let me please, Ibu Hermina, describe the freedom of expression. Give me applause to Ibu Hermina Clayton.
Thank you. It's indeed an honor to be here with you all today. And a little correction. Wahyu Muryadi, the chief editor of a big group. It's a Tempo Media Group. Magazine is the first product in our group, following with many others. Papers, online, English, television, and we are mushrooming after 1998, after the downfall of the previous repressive regime and the new Reformation era in 1998. And I think let me give you an overview, and I think let's do a discussion. It's more alive, and if you know anything, we can off the record, on the record, let's do a Shantam House rule if you want. But let me give you a little brief about overview about Tempo, and to be honest, we put this freedom of expression challenge and opportunities because I think like Korea, you experience in your country, many other countries in Asia like Myanmar and Indonesia and many other, you name it. It's after the downfall, even for the media, there's always you call the honeymoon period for the media reform. But like every honeymoon in the world, it doesn't last that long. Okay? Include the media. So, what should I do? Okay. Very quick. It was March 6, 1971. Our founding fathers, Gunawan Muhammad, is a great writer of our country. He's a poet. He's a great journalist. And he established temple with several other poets. So actually, it's artists, poets, and several journalists. They are the founding fathers of this group. Okay, why I put this temple constitution? Because you can read outside. This young guy, 25 years, imagine like 42 years ago, they put this principle. Our journalism is not political, okay? Which favor one side or another. We believe that the duty of the press is not to disseminate prejudice, but to eliminate, is not to conceive hate, but to communicate understanding. The one who gave command is not money or power, which we experience in many countries, including my country, but the goodwill, fairness, and conscience. And this is no fancy talk, but 3 days in Wahyu, we feel these things. It's how Wahyu people really stand up for their democracy, freedom of expression, and of course, human rights. Okay. All right. How to implement that big, constitution into the production? It's not that easy. Because, Chief, if you want to jump in. Okay? Yeah. So we translate this basic principle into covering political issue, economy, social affairs, human rights, crime, and anything. But I would like to postpone a little bit about human rights later after the downfall. Overall, we were banned 3 times in our 42 years, back and forth. So they kill us, and we are a little bit immortal. We're coming back on the stage, selling the band. They kill us again 3 times. So our struggle was not easy, of course. Yeah? This is frustration and tears, literally, because we cried along, but we refused to back down, and it's even in the most dire situations. Okay. Why I called it 1998 era is important year, because it is a year that marked a very important life of the media and freedom of expression in our country. Okay? 32 years, our country was governed by what's called New Order. Maybe any journalist or any academician in this room know that we are under President Suharto. The honeymoon with Suharto, around 10 years. Okay? So with the student movement, yeah. Okay, and the campus is the honeymoon, the palace is open, but after 10 years, after the sons and daughter of the president grow up, holding the business and everything, the honeymoon period was totally over. And the repressive years starting to come, right? Okay. And, it's following the New Order regime, 1998, we back in the stage. So the last ban imposed to us is 1994. You are a war journalist at the time, okay? In Bosnia, okay? 1994 to 1998, that was the very, very bad time. Tempo journalist, if I may say, I humbly say, is among the best journalists in the country, because we are very independent. But in that 4 years, the last ban imposed to us, we are like social pariah. Nobody wants to touch us, nobody wants to contact us, nobody wants to work with us. Even though we can produce good story, everybody rejected us. Okay? So this is it. I would like to put a little bit perspective into what you call, so pre-1990 era, what happened and how the media in not only Temple, but many independent media to work with their production, how we put the story out into the public in pre-1998, in the new order regime, because Temple was among the biggest one, business-wise, and also circulation-wise, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. And 1, 2 others too, but we are, I think the most independent one in the country. And, it shut down, totally shut down. Offices shut down, and maybe 2 weeks after the military come to our office, and the Minister of Information, which is the spokesperson of Suharto President, just calling our chief and say to just close the magazine. That was Wahyu. I think I was not in Tempo. I was in the group, but he was the reporter. See everything at that time.
And at that time, to be frank, I will have a new car because I was, promoted as a new reporter of Tempo.
And the car was losing.
But car was losing at the time.
Because of the ban. So every new reporter, they are moving to the higher level, and Wahyu was waiting. Mrs. Wahyu was out of the site at that moment. Wahyu is waiting, courting the Mrs. Wahyu with the new car, but the car is down because the ban, okay? Only 2 weeks before they received the new car, right? Okay. Can you imagine that? So, that's it. Now, okay, so please. Okay, challenge. What is challenge? Because our founding fathers always telling us, and that is we bring to our young reporters today, generation to generation, this is no fancy talk, we really do this in the newsroom. So challenge in the pre-1990 era was, media was stripped of its ability to openly criticize, okay? So opportunity, what you see the opportunity? Media was forced to develop new ways of delivering message below the lines, okay? Communication expert will know that very well. How you convey the message. So we Asian people, Indonesia, Korea, Japan, we understand that. Maybe for Robert it's not that easy because you people, it's like always literally talking, but we Asian, we understand this. So below the line, so we don't say it literally and openly, but we understand. And why is that? Why if I'm saying why you say something that not openly, not wordly, not literally, and people understand? Because we experience the same culture. We experience the same pressure. We experience the same authoritarian regime. Okay? So that, to convey the threat to the public. Elegantly disguising the threat from the government eyes. Opportunities, we become very highly trained. Okay? A rare form of journalism in order to survive. So several friends, reporter came to our office, interview chief editor and asked, so what kind of journalism is that? And Wahyu said, that is the kind of rare journalism, it's jokingly said. But in order to survive, but we are happy because most readers receive the true message loud and clear. Loud and clear. The magazine, people pick the magazine every week because if they say something about the royal family, that's what we call the president family. So we don't talk about kind of criticize them. So what you put is like, the second son is now going to London to shopping again for it. They love it because it's fancy. Actually, people understand. Oh my God, they're going to spend like hundreds, thousands of US dollars again only to bring to buy things that they even not open the wrap. So this is it. 1994. We banned for 4 years, right? 4 years. And, underground media, we both of us, we are happy to stand here today because what we're sharing to you, my fellow Wahyu citizens and also people from other countries, friends from other countries, that what we want to say is being banned is it not the end of the world. Isn't that it? Because why? Because we find the way out by developing what you call is underground media. And underground media, I'm happy to share that powered by the social pariah at the time, the so-called tempo reporters, tempo journalists. Why they so-called? Because we don't have any media. But people want, and even people, it's very, very funny because people contribute the money. They don't buy our magazines, underground media, but they contribute the money for us. So instead of buying the magazine, they can't give money, so we can, it's very simple because we don't have money, so you just make the copies and you circulate to anywhere. Okay? So Revolution Internet, so-called, plays a critical role because you can spread the news very quick. And this is it, heading toward media reformation. So, freedom of the press, I think, creates another problem. This is it. I will share. We both of you will share. Freedom of the press, it's like you open the cage. It's a very, very interesting moment to observe in that time. Why? Like you put the horses in the cage for so long years. And out of the sudden, the horse running so quick, you cannot stop it.
Cannot control.
You cannot control the horses because, it's too long in the cage. And then open up. That's what happened with our media. So when you check if any research was here, you check the headlines of the media after October 1990, after May 1998, it's very funny. The president's mouth smells like gas, for example. It's very rude, very rude. So our editors make a homecoming calls for the social pariah coming. We have a meeting and we say, let's go back to the stage. And we say, the challenge now, this is I'm sharing, the challenge now is different because maybe you can put many media moguls. Yeah, media moguls, so now the control is not from government anymore, but from people, from public.
From people, from the black tycoon, to have so much money to
buy the magazine,
to
pay the news,
to pay the bandits, to demonstrate in front of our office,
because
something like that.
Yeah, something like that. So this is what the chief editor said. The switching of the control after 1998, is from the government military policy to who? To public. There are two things. The good, the good civil society will make a good control by contacting us and informing us, hey, look, you have to investigate this, and this. But you have to remember, after 1998, it's so free. If you have money, you can make like 10 magazines in one day. You can watch television, like 2-3 station television. And it's very funny because many people with so much money come to us and say, why we spend already like billions and the media doesn't exist long? And we say that it's a very typical industry. You cannot only with the money, but the human resources becomes very important. And that's also funny and also a little bit not difficult for us because since that time, every year, our fresh reporter will be trained, and after 3 years, the people with the money came and took our new reporters.
To hijack them.
To hijack them, with 3-4 times of payment. And because we don't have money, we say, well, you have to stay, but only with this.
During that time, there are so many new players.
Yeah.
New, young business people who have so much money.
Young professionals.
To spend their money to, having fun, to image building, to use the media for their own, business or political interest,
Tools, yeah.
That's why, for example, on the other hand, if the business people unhappy with our publication, for example, the last publication we covered about the corruption in the Golkar elite party.
Yeah. It's a non-ruling party, but it's a major party.
Yeah, the major party, the Golkar. And then you know what they do? They spend their money to buy out
magazine
the
and
magazine,
burn it out.
and they calculate it in an easy time, in an easy way, So if I ban tempo by using the government or the military, there is no opportunities anymore during the Reformation era. The way they do, they buy all and they calculate. It is more or less 1 billion rupiah. It's only $100,000 to pay all the tempos publication.
Who are the happiest man? Our agent. They say, can you produce more story like this? Because people with the money will come buy and burn the magazine. So the agents of the media, the people who sell in the media, they are very happy. So they come.
That's why we reprint it again.
We reprint it again.
And the edition of the corruption in the Golkar elites, several times. And the latest one is we published, we reprinted again 50,000 copies of the magazine.
When it is spread out.
But they forgot, because we have not only the print media,
we have the digital,
internet, and so on and so on.
So the mogul, the people with the money, they don't remember that the digital revolution is borderless. So you can get anything. You are very young, you can get anything from digital. You don't have. But more older people, they love to read in the printed version, and yet we provide it like. So we already know our business section said, we thought this one will be burned again by these people. And we said, okay, fine, then the printing house should be ready with second batch of reprinted so we can share the magazine and the information to the public. Okay? So, what happened to the post-reform era? Okay, post-reform era, like we just told you, journalists are facing tougher challenge. We can say tougher challenge. Why? If the brave story, the bravery issue is not an issue anymore. Why? When before the Reformation, only Tempo and very small other numbers can stand up and have guts to produce this kind of story. But after the Reformation, any media can do it. That is why the braveness, put the big title, put the even, very stupid, but even sometimes non-confirmed story, which we really deny it, it happens, and our Indonesian readers are very critical, and they want more. They don't want something that, every media put it on, even with the big title. They want what the so-called, if any journalist in this room, I would like to share, if they want something behind the stage, something behind the curtain, which you call it investigative. So it's the rebirth again of the word investigative journalism, which becomes our main menu every week, every day, because we have like daily, we have papers, we have online, okay? And opportunities, this is very interesting. I think Korea and we have the same experience. So we want to know the condition as an opportunity to deliver high quality of service and those kind of things. So it's the mushrooming, and well, if you want to win the public, you have to give more, and more means investigative reporting, investigative story, and that becomes our menu every day. So this is I just show you this. This man is untouchable. He is an untouchable. Yeah? So nobody even believed today this man has been like 6 months or 1 year in jail, in detention, in jail. 1 year. 1 year. So when we published our first cover story, with the second cover story, third cover story, his people are haters so much, but our Corruption Eradication Commission, to make the story short, he's now in jail. Okay? Same case happened. Okay, frontline and developing, I think this is just to share. Interests, partnership, independent and invited force. Now, it's the bend and the rebirth. Okay, overall, Tempo has been 3 times, like we told you. We sadly, not sent, but we sadly follow and work with our journalists who are imprisoned. And until today, prosecuted And the sue of the people it's very daily, weekly thing. So Wahyu is, the secretary of Wahyu is coming with a map, and there are like 2, 3 sue from any sources every week, almost every week. And the last man, this is, I told you already. Now, this, let me ask your attention for 1 minute. After 1998, the human rights issue became very, very much in our newsroom priority. Why is that? Because some actors would like to divert the history of pre-Reformation era. Because tempo makes people happy and more unhappy. More unhappy. Sometimes I say to our reporters, oh, sometimes we would like to be a, travel magazine journalist or fashion journalist, because when you knock the door as a fashion journalist, everybody wants to open it. But when you call, hey, I'm from Tempo, and people will bang the door in front of you. That's very daily thing. Okay? So, this is it. We decided to focus on human rights issue, to democracy, corruption, because corruption is, you guys are friends, we admit and we humbly admit that is one among our biggest homework, including Tempo and many media, to bring all the, to disclose more story about corruptions, politics, environment, and the new one is terrorism. Okay? And our last, before we travel to Wahyu, our last publication was about a person. His name is Wiji Tuku. Wiji Tuku is a poet who disappeared in Suharto era before 1998. When we were banned in 1994 to 1998, he was disappeared. Nobody knows, is he alive? Was hidden somewhere? Nobody knows. And he was like forgotten. But this very May, the early May, we bring 45 pages about him, and United Nations start to ask our president what happened to this guy. So that is what I'm calling, what I was saying about diverting the history. So we are not, of course, we have so many, we have many loopholes. We are not far from perfect, but we are trying to bring something that our founding fathers bring 44 years ago. That this is, so we always, when we train our reporters, because in Indonesia is religion important, so we say, after the God and the prophet, your God is the public. So if you want to join our media, that is the way you work. Okay? So behind the investigative story, our policies is even reflected in our opinions. So if you ask me, this Tempo taking side, we don't take side. What we do is, we take side with the ideology. We don't take side with the Commission of Education corruption, no. We don't take side with the institution of the chief, no. We take side with the ideology that corruption should be erased. So, and that will reflect in our opinion, in our cover story. Okay? Well, that's and a little bit facts and figures. So this is us. So this is our news policy. Never changed since 42 years ago. And so this is it. So I think Wahyu is small, but his responsibility is big because he is the chief of this many media. He is the newsroom editor-chief. So for every editor, he's its own chief editor again. It's report to Wahyu. Okay. So this is a little sharing, but this is again, this is no fancy talk. So when we were here, not because we are granted with the Wahyu Prize of Human Rights Special Award, but what we find here reinforce our belief that human rights issue is among good and independent media to bring up to the public. Both of us, we did a lot of reportings, round-the-clock reporting, and we will publish like 80 to 10 pages of story about Wahyu and its reformation later back. With also the media, about the media, so I'm happy to meet Professor and Robert and everybody. So this is it. This is the story about the man who disappeared, and this is a conspiracy in silence between the military, the government, the police, people who is not happy to be criticized. Okay, and this is the story like 40. We contribute 45 to 46 pages to this man. Okay. And this is the thank you. Yes.
Okay, now we will begin the question and answer portion of the talk. If you didn't receive a piece of paper, please raise your hand and one of our volunteers will bring the piece of paper to you and they will bring it up to me and I will ask the questions. So, thank you for your talk. Before we get into the issues with your publication, we'll start with a few questions about you and your history. So, have you both always been involved in media?
Yes.
Always in media.
Yes.
And how did you get your starts in media?
Yeah, let me tell about myself. I was joining with Tempo since 1987, 15th of August 1987, when I was studying at the University of Airlangga in the economic faculty. You know, and at that time Tempo needs some journalists to join with because some of the journalists Tempo now check out and hijack into the new magazine named Editors at that time. So they need a new reporter, and then I came with my colleagues to bring a talk with the chief of correspondent of Tempo in Surabaya in Eastern Java. And he asked me to join. Would you join us to be a journalist? You want to be a journalist? Yes, why not? Let us start to go with journalists, and then I remember that 15 August 1987. You know, I covered the crime story and the political and also religious affair issues, especially in the eastern part of Java. And then, yeah, and I was joined with Tempo in Jakarta in 1989 in Jakarta, and I covered especially for the war issue in the Middle East, in the Balkan War, in the Bosnian War, in the post-Iran revolution of Iran, and also during the regime of the Omar Hassan al-Bashir in Sudan in 1994. And then I back to Jakarta, and 2 weeks after, the government said, you back. Then, you know, so I lost my car.
And the car is gone. Yeah, but Wahyu is, we specialize in war journalism for a couple of years. And jokingly said that when he worked last time in Middle East, and he remembered the car, and I want to coming home because the car is waiting.
Yes.
And 2 weeks after the ban, and the car is gone. Okay. All right. Me, journalism is an accident because I always want to be a teacher. My dad is in elementary school. I would like to study linguistics like Robert and Professor Singh to be a linguist, but you know, I was accepted in a very good university, but no money. So I switched study politics because it's cheaper, and then becomes a journalist. Not bad, you know. Okay, the Tempo journalist, not that bad.
Yeah.
Is this your first time in Korea, or have you been here before?
Second time.
Second time.
Yeah, for me, second time. The first time I was here in year of 2000, I was accompanied by President Abdurrahman Wahid. At the time, I worked for him as a chief of presidential protocol.
We lent him to the palace for 2.5 years, ladies and gentlemen. We lent this guy, but give me 2 minutes. But we lent this guy, and it creates a very rare journalism in our company. Why? Because Wahyu went to the palace because in Abdurrahman Wahid era is a very, very brilliant president. Okay, and Wahyu, the palace asked him, "Can you working with us?" And all the board of editors said, "No, we lent you for 2.5 years." after coming back to the office, we didn't let him to touch the final story. So he should be purified in 6 months purification period, only doing the story. He didn't edit at all because, and after 6 months, we board of editors say, now you're purified, you go back into the newsroom. Very funny story. Okay.
It was interesting here to be here when I was a company president Wahid in the year of 2000. We were in the Blue House and met the President Kim Dae-jung at that time. I saw him. When I saw him for the first time, I really respected on him. This is a great leader, and that's true.
Yeah, that's true.
So second time in Korea. Before you received this award, were you familiar with Gwangju and the events of the May 18 Democratic Uprising, or was it news to you?
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. Definitely, to be honest, after 1998, May 1998, when the fall of our, and when we gathered back in the newsroom, we start to study, we start to learn which country or Asian country that have the similar history to us, because we believe that impact the development of their media in certain way of each country. I mean, of course, every country has their own rules and conditions, and we are interested, and we are very impressed because this small city, comparing to Jakarta, this is a sleepy town, you know. Now, people in Jakarta, you just down from the plane and people are everywhere. And Mrs. Muryadi said, "Lau, Habi, where is the people?" And he said, "Well, sweetie, the people is no in the street, that's why their economy is good. Because people are working, no in the street."
No animals in the street.
And no birds, even
No
no
birds.
birds and no beggars. So, congratulations to the city, no beggars.
Okay, moving on to some questions more specific to your publication. Can you talk a little bit about the funding for your magazine, where the funding comes from?
Yeah. This is, I wish I could claim that we are the only media in Indonesia, we supported our own, not by a single majority people who share, but the owner of our Tempo Media Group owned by some institution. For example, for Yayasan Jaya Raya Foundation, and Yayasan 21st of June Foundation. This is the history when we were banned by the government in 1994. And then the third one is the Employee Foundation. And the fourth is the Graffiti Group. Graffiti Group is the founder or the owner of the Tempo. Tempo. So there is no even a single person who has the majority shareholder in Tempo. They're comparing with the other groups of the media in Indonesia. They own majority by the certain
even one person. One conglomerate, one family. So in addition to what Wahyu says, so to make it short, 51% of share of our media group goes to the Tempo people, and the rest goes to foundation. And happy to share with you that since we are the public company.
Since 2001, we go to the go public. We release 17% of our share to the public. The money is we use the money to publish the Koran Tempo.
Tempo Daily.
Tempo Daily.
So the Tempo Daily powered by public money. But the amount of share, we always control it. 51% goes to the Tempo people.
We got the money around 37 billion rupiah at that time. More than around 30. Almost 4 billion rupiah, $4 billion at that time. And then we use the money to publish the Koran Tempo.
For us, 4 billion is a lot. Okay? I think maybe for you, Wahyu people, it's a lot or not, but for us, it's a lot. Because We earn every single country ourselves.
What it means, the ownership is very important for us. Means that we cannot control by everybody.
Cannot be
Even
controlled.
there is no owner. If you ask who's the owner, we are the owner on behalf of the foundation. Well, me myself, I'm a member of foundation of employee foundation and also 21st of June foundation. You know.
Okay.
Okay.
So to answer your answer, we funded by the founding comes by our production and our business. So this is it. It's interesting because in Indonesia and many Asian countries, there is a kind of belief that if you are independent, if you are critics, and if you are bring out the story of the corruption, you cannot be financially independent. I'm sorry, we are independent financially. Okay?
Okay. Maybe you already just answered this, but an audience member comments that here in Korea, major media are either government or big business controlled, both before and after democratization. So is the influence of progressive media is limited here? So similar in Indonesia, is progressive media limited?
No, we control the other way around, I'm sorry to say. I'm happy to say.
Okay.
After 1998 and even before.
So in your discussion about the sort of principles, the Tempo Constitution, at the beginning of your talk you mentioned that your goal is not to favor one side or another, and you came back to that at the end of your talk and mentioned that the goal for Tempo is to be on the side of ideology. Can you talk about the difficulty involved in trying to strike that fair and balanced approach?
Yes. Mas dulu atau?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that's not difficult because balance and being balanced means being accurate. Being balanced, we teach we training all of our younger reporter, many very young one. I would like you to come and work with us one day. I cannot pay you big, but the food is good in Tempo. So, being balanced, my friends, means being accurate. Being balanced means you. When I write about Professing, that not the word that you are a corruptor. So I put like 10 pages about him.
And my corruption?
Yes, about your corruption. At the end of the story, I asked my team and my work, you should come and sit with Professor Singh, give him 2 pages to talk about himself because we accused him a lot. Okay, and Prof. Singh said, oh my God, Ibu Hermin, I am a good servant of God. I pray 6 times a day, and they say, thank you Lord, you pray 6 times a day, but we have a lot of documents that prove you latch of this and this and this. So, to make story short, being balanced is, being with the public. Being balanced means, we say to our reporter, don't try to be hero. There are thousands of people are better than us and more better than us to be hero. And if you publish one good story, remember there are thousands of people produce better story than us. Okay? So what you have to do is bring the accurate, balanced, cover both sides story to us. And if you write, like we have one enemy, social enemy, that they always come and hitting our office. Is a very big tycoon in Jakarta. Okay, Chief, and he said when he gave brief in the board of editors, he said, look, I don't want you to get wrong about this man. His name is Kominata. About this man, if he did something bad, we have to write about him and we confront with him. But if let's say one day he is like out of the sudden get some enlightenment and become like make some hospital like Dr. Patch Adam, and we will give a very big story about good thing about him. So I think that's to answer your Chief.
Yeah, I think during the post-Reformation era, we play a big and important role in terms of how we manage our journalism, especially in Tempo Media Group. So we always say that we play what we call as the clearinghouse of information.
Okay.
Because during the internet era, there is tsunami information, everywhere, every time. You cannot control whether it's the wrong or the right issue or that. So the tempo play a big role in terms of how to control, to clarify, to verify this information. Because the essence of journalism, or my personal opinion, is to clarify day by day, every day, and every all the information must be clarified and clear.
Yeah.
And the first one, the second one, based on the Tempo Constitution, means basically this is our ethical values.
Yeah.
We must keep them, ethical values. We must give a space to everybody, especially the source that we criticize, even though the big bandit or
A saint, even a saint and big
mafioso,
bandit have the same right.
we have to give a space to him or to her to speak, to give a clarification about this our investigative journalism. So that's the idea.
Okay.
This answers your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because we do believe that the truth sometimes come from the
The place you don't like it.
we don't like it.
Okay.
Okay.
Very good tea, by the way. Very good tea. Cheers. Talking make us thirsty, so we have to. By the way, very nice tea, I'm sorry.
Can you speak briefly about the difficulties of delivering subversive messages? You talked about during the period of government control that you could still find ways to deliver your message in a way that the readers would understand what you were saying. But what happens if the censors catch something? Is there any retribution should that occur?
Yes.
Okay. So, yes, it's your question about what is the impact, right? What is the impact journalists have to face? Let me start with the examples of the hard examples. One, I am in Indonesia. I work for with Wahyu. We work for investigative just like almost 6 to 8 years. As writers, as editors, and managing editors before we work on the exec levels. So, but in that time, one day, I did the investigation with the pesantren, how you call it? Bahasa Korea. Okay, Islamic boarding school. And it was a very exclusive boarding school, and we found that there are a lot of something that big question in that. So they're running okay. So they're running an education that is so perfect. I mean, they are like country in the country, a very exclusive one. So we went inside and we found a lot of things that are not right. Okay, and it's like the imam plays. The imam is the big ulama. He also dealing with money. Dealing with a lot of things, abuse and everything. So when the story out, this is my example first, and Wahyu has a lot more. Just one example. All these people of ulama came into the newsroom, asked me to sit it, and they say in there, they say, Alhamdulillah, thank you Lord that you are a lady, you are a female, because if you are a man, we talk with you in the street, and we talk that way, and I say, thank you Lord, I'm a female. So we sit down and have some tea in this room. So, but to make it short, the threat is not, I don't want to dramatize, but the threat comes in. And I think as the chief editor, Wahyu has to sit with every unhappy people, every unhappy group, every week. So sometimes we call him like 6 o'clock in the morning, and we just close the office because why? People already camped in our office, and last 2 months, they crashed all the window of the all the glasses, so the office is so
Using the samurai.
using the samurai, nine samurai, they're crushing everything, and our receptionist working with no window, so it's very windy because they crush everything. So this.
Yeah, I think the most important one is how to educate people.
Yeah.
How to convince them. If you are complaining about the publication or the media, you should complain directly to the media itself. For example, we have an ombudsman, which is an internal body,
to criticize our
production,
Our
journalism, the way we produce the news. And the second one, we have press council. We have got press council. This is a very powerful press council and credible press council. I heard that the Myanmar authorities copy our press council.
No, they consult with us.
Yeah.
And our media too, they consult with Tempo.
Right.
Okay.
So press council will ask us to come and clarify why you write down this part of issue, and then why don't you interview this man, this guy, everything. And for me, it's rather difficult to face with the press council rather than in the court. I'm in the court, I think at least 2 times in the court as witnesses during the case of Ahmad Taufik and Baba Harimurti regarding about the case contra the bad guys named Muryadi at the time. Yeah.
Well, your talk has generated many questions, but unfortunately we're running out of time. So this next question will be the last question. If your question wasn't answered, they seem very approachable, so I'm sure that they would be happy to answer your question in person after the talk. So last question. In the spirit of today, the memorial of the 5/18 Democratic Uprising, perhaps you could briefly give us your personal definition of human rights. What does human rights mean for you?
Well, I don't want to go with big definition. Human rights is a place, is condition, a state when you just live freely. You have a free to express yourself. You're free to express whatever you want, and you're free to understand that respect is reciprocal one another. Respect is reciprocal between media and its partners. Reciprocal between the government and its citizens. Reciprocal between the military and the people. As simple as that.
Yes, human rights is also, from my personal perspective, is, as a journalist, I will say that the mother of this very basic principle is the freedom of expression, and freedom of speech, and freedom of the press. If we are not have those 3 items of those basic principles, means nothing. Indonesia still have a big problem about the human rights issue. We have a case in Papua, one of the Malukas, and Aceh. No,
we have a lot,
and then we try, but to cover the human rights issue is not so easy. We have to make a long story and make
like peeling the onion.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Peel the onion.
But still our big homework to cover the human rights issue. And through our Tempo Media Group, trying to promote that basic principles are very important to make the countries of Indonesia in a better way.
Okay, let me just, because there are young people, I would like to share this. Talking about this, you cannot come from the empty room. Okay, you come from a little tiny. I'm not saying that we have big experience. We have little foundation, little experience, and then it takes some years. But this is it. Okay, this is it. I would like to say that in Tempo we have a basic rule. You may be not that smart. You may be a little bit lazy. That's fine with us. We don't support people lazy, but wow, we don't kill you because you are lazy. But we will ask you right away to bring your bag outside of the office if you want to take bribe, because the day you take bribe, you will never be equal with your source again. And it will be damaged your life as a journalist. We always say to our journalists, if you want to take bribe, take that big bribe so you can live so long with the bribery. And then you can change your life, not being a journalist. One thing. Secondly, what you and me said, we said everything, but I think I have to be, both of us, we have to share honestly that very many times we feel so lonely. Journalist life is no life, it's very lonely. And in Indonesia, we would like to share with other media. Let's do together this investigative journalism, because if we go out together with the publication, the impact in the parliament, in the government will be bigger. But they say, well, you just do it. So journalism, in our case, of course, all the journalists, editors, they understand this. Investigative journalism, which we approach since our life, 42 years, you have to do extra miles. Extra miles is absolute. So no option, but you have to do that, and you've been independent, and you don't take bribe. As easy as that. So I hope young people, you come, being a journalist. Before we close, I would like to ask, how about media in Wahyu? Can you share with us, or professors? The media in Wahyu, the media. Yeah. Later, okay.
Yeah, last but not least, last word. I met with some journalists from during the in Gwangju, journalists from the nation in Bangkok and some journalists from North Korea. We agreed to engage each other to set up a new forum in terms of the journalists of Asian journalists who really concerned about human rights issues. And we prepare the forum like this. The first in Gwangju, starting from Gwangju, and the next will be in Jakarta, and the third is in Bangkok, and all of the Asian cities.
Please send in your prayers so we can do it together. Okay.
Thank you for your wonderful speech. We have a small token of appreciation for you that will be presented by Dr. Shin Hyung-woo.
Hope you allow me to say that we are finding the bright future of Indonesia.
Thank you.
With your whole rich human resources and natural resources, you have suffered a lot. You are very slow in the development, but you are going to the future of Southeast Asia and then Asia as well. Thank you again for your sharing information with us. So in appreciation of your contribution, we'd like to give you a letter of appreciation. Ms. Permian Cledentus, we'd like to thank you for your support to Prime Students as a guest speaker to GIC talk. Thank you very much. Mr. Wahyu, Muryadi, and then we also thank you again. And then hope you include us in your future collaboration
We will.
to represent Gwangju.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We will write a very long story.
Yes.
Included here.
Future partnership. Then without your accepting us as a partnership, we will get this gift back to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.